Have you ever wondered why the moments that break you open the ones where you're left staring at your phone, waiting for her to respond? Feeling your chest tighten with both anger and longing end up being the very moments you mistake for being in love. Why the woman who cuts you down with silence, who withdraws just when you thought you had her, somehow feels more intoxicating than the one who gives you her steady warmth. It's because pain, in the twisted theater of modern relationships, often disguises itself as passion. And if you don't recognize this game, you'll spend years chasing women who keep you hooked, not through love, but through psychological warfare. Think back to a night when she pulled away. Maybe she stopped replying after a long stream of messages. Maybe you saw her laughing with another guy in a photo online, and suddenly your stomach dropped. That flood of emotion, that ache in your chest, felt like the strongest proof of your feelings. I must love her, you told yourself, because why else would this hurt so much? But what you were really experiencing wasn't love. It was withdrawal. The same mechanism that makes a gambler keep pulling the lever even as he loses everything. You confuse her absence for proof of her importance, and her rejection for proof of her value. This is how many women hold power without even realizing it, or sometimes, very deliberately. A woman doesn't need to raise her voice or confront you directly. All she has to do is withdraw her warmth at the right moment. That silence is the weapon. It places you in a panic, scrambling for her approval, chasing her attention. And in that scramble, you convince yourself that what you feel must be passion. But here's the truth, it isn't passion, it's addiction. You know this pattern already. Think about how many times you've sat staring at your phone, typing and deleting messages. How many times you've apologized for things you didn't even do, just to restore her attention. How many times you've mistaken the relief of getting her back for the thrill of being in love. That cycle is not passion. That cycle is control. And the more you accept it, the more you train yourself to equate suffering with intimacy. So what's the cost? Slowly, you start to lose your center. You stop focusing on your own life, your own goals. You build your day around when she texts, how she looks at you, whether she seems off or on. You're no longer living as a man with direction. You've become a satellite orbiting around her moods. And the cruelest part, she may not even respect you for it, because deep down, she feels the imbalance. She knows you've made her the source of your identity, and that kills attraction. Here's what you need to understand. Passion does not mean constant chaos. Love is not measured by how much pain you can tolerate. Real passion deepens you. It doesn't hollow you out. But until you rewire your instincts, you'll keep mistaking the storm for proof that you're alive. You'll keep chasing the woman who destabilizes you because the drama feels more electric than calm connection. So how do you break it first? You need to learn to recognize the trap in real time. Picture this. She goes cold. She ignores your messages for hours when you know she's online. Your instinct is to chase, to double text, to demand an answer. That's the exact moment where you lose, because your pursuit confirms her control. Instead, you need to do the opposite. You go silent. You redirect your energy into something tangible, hitting the gym, focusing on your work, meeting with friends. When she finally resurfaces, you're not desperate, you're occupied. You're a man with his own orbit. That shift alone changes everything. Here's another scenario. She criticizes you in public, makes a cutting remark that leaves you burning inside. Most men try to win back favor by laughing it off or showering her with validation afterward. That's weakness disguised as keeping the peace. The tactical move is to hold your frame. Don't retaliate with anger, but don't reward the insult either. Stay calm, look her in the eye, and let the silence speak louder than your words. That self-possession communicates more power than any comeback. It shows her you're not dependent on her approval to stand tall. And if you're the man who keeps giving, keeps pouring out affection just to keep her interested, you need to cut it back. Test her interest instead of assuming it. Pull your attention away and see if she chases. Because if you're always the one investing, she's never truly choosing you, she's just consuming you. The man who recenters himself, who can step back and let her reveal her true level of interest, is the man who never confuses pain for passion again. You need to start rewiring your definition of attraction. Attraction isn't the spike of pain in your chest when she pulls away. Attraction is her wanting to enter your world because it's already alive without her. Passion isn't about chaos. It's about intensity built on respect, polarity, and choice. And the sooner you detach from the illusion, the sooner you'll stop bleeding for women who were never planning to love you, only to control you. Have you ever caught yourself confusing the rush of jealousy or rejection with proof of love? Have you ever chased after a woman more because she hurt you than because she actually valued you? Which scenario have you lived through the most? Share it below. I want to know how deep this has cut into your own story. You remember that night you sat in your car outside her place, staring at the lights in her window, waiting for her to answer your calls. The longer she ignored you, the more you convinced yourself that she must be the one, because only someone who mattered this much could make you feel such torment. But look closer at what really happened. Your entire nervous system was hijacked. Your brain equated her withdrawal with scarcity, and scarcity always creates obsession. That obsession felt like passion, but it was really just panic. And panic is not love, it's weakness. This is the emotional trap women use. Often unconsciously, they let you feel the burn of absence until you come crawling back, desperate to fix things. In that moment, she becomes the prize, the center of gravity. You become the one chasing, apologizing, explaining. She controls the tempo, and you dance to her rhythm. And the worst part, the harder you chase, the less respect she feels. She might enjoy the validation, but inside, her attraction for you dies a little more each time you prove you can't stand without her. So why does this work so effectively on men? Because most men were never taught to separate emotion from strategy. You assume intensity equals importance. If something makes you feel a lot, it must mean it matters. But intensity without stability is just chaos. It's the difference between a fire that warms your house and one that burns it down. You keep running toward the flames, mistaking the destruction for heat, and wondering why you always end up with ashes. Here's the psychological truth. Women don't just want your love. They want your power. They want to feel your presence, your ability to stand grounded when they test you. And yes, they will test you. The cold shoulder, the snide remark, the sudden withdrawal of affection, these aren't always conscious acts of cruelty. Sometimes they're instinctive probes. She wants to see, will you collapse? Will you beg? Will you lose yourself just to keep her? Or will you stay unmoved? A man who refuses to confuse pain with passion. You've seen this play out. A guy who bends over backwards every time his girlfriend gets distant. He buys gifts, over-apologizes, writes long paragraphs trying to explain himself. She doesn't respect him more, she respects him less. Why? Because she realizes he can't stand in the storm. Contrast that with the man who notices her coldness, doesn't chase, and simply continues his life. He doesn't punish her, doesn't sulk, he just doesn't collapse. That man creates curiosity. She feels the sting of his absence and wonders, did I just lose him? That is passion rooted in strength, not weakness. So how do you apply this in real time? Imagine she suddenly goes quiet after you had a great evening together. The insecure part of you wants to send a follow-up message to check if she's mad, to keep the spark alive. But the tactical move is to let it breathe. Wait. Let her come back to you. If she doesn't, then she never valued you enough in the first place and you saved yourself time. If she does, she'll return with more energy because you didn't cheapen yourself by begging for her presence. Or picture this, she criticizes you in front of friends. The weak response is nervous laughter or overcompensating affection later. The strong response is to look her in the eye, smile faintly, and move on without giving her the satisfaction of a reaction. That silent strength communicates one thing: I'm not a man you can diminish. And here's the beauty when you don't feed the test. It dies on its own. She sees she can't rattle you, and paradoxically, that makes her feel safer with you. The truth is, the more comfortable you get with silence, with withholding, with restraint, the less you'll ever mistake pain for passion again. Because passion, real passion, doesn't come from scrambling for crumbs of her attention. It comes from standing so firmly in your own frame that she either chooses to step into your world or drifts away while you continue forward. But here's where most men fail. They can't handle the discomfort of waiting. They think if they don't chase, she'll disappear forever. And sometimes she will. But that's the point. You don't want a woman who only stays because you fed her ego. You want the one who stays because she sees your value even when you're not bending to please her. That's not just passion, it's respect. And without respect, no relationship survives. So I'll tell you the hardest truth: the women who stir the most chaos in you are often the ones least capable of giving you love. They may give you fireworks, but fireworks always fade. What you need is the fire that sustains, not the one that burns you to ash. Have you ever been caught in the trap of chasing her silence, believing the pain meant she was special? Have you ever laughed off an insult just to keep her happy, and later felt disgusted with yourself? Be honest, because these are the moments that define whether you live as a man of passion or a man of addiction. Think about the times you've mistaken a fight for proof of passion. The shouting, the slammed doors, the nights you lay awake replaying every word. It felt alive, didn't it? More alive than the quiet nights with the woman who never made your heart race with anxiety. But that's the trick. Chaos feels like intensity. And because most men are starved for intensity, they accept chaos as the substitute. They confuse drama for depth, volatility for love. The problem is, that kind of intensity doesn't build you. It drains you. When a woman learns that you respond more to her pain-inducing behaviors than to her genuine affection, she starts to lean into it, maybe not even consciously. But she notices that when she's warm and stable, you relax, you coast, you don't chase her as hard. When she gets cold, when she criticizes, when she pulls away, that's when you light up. That's when you invest. That's when you prove to her you care. Over time, she realizes pain gets more reaction than peace, so she uses it, and you fall deeper into the trap, rewarding the very behaviors that destroy you. Let me paint the picture. She goes silent after an argument. You feel the ache, the panic. You call, you text, you apologize. You show up with flowers. She returns not because she respects you, but because she knows she can pull you back on command. In your head, the reunion feels passionate, but underneath, you've just trained her to understand if she withdraws, you'll overinvest. That's not passion, that's conditioning. You've been domesticated by your own fear of loss. So here's what you need to do: flip the script. Stop rewarding the pain. Stop letting absence dictate your desire. The next time she withdraws, let her. Don't rush to fill the silence. Don't explain yourself endlessly. Don't go chasing her validation like oxygen. Fill that silence with your own life. Go train. Go create. Go connect with people who actually value your presence. Let her absence shrink instead of expand. That's how you unhook yourself from the illusion. Because here's the truth. Women don't mistake pain for passion in the same way men do. They don't feel the withdrawal as addiction. They feel the withdrawal as power. For them, withholding is leverage. For you, it's a wound. That imbalance is why men lose themselves so quickly. You give her your center, and in return, she gives you her fluctuations. That's not a fair trade. And until you see it for what it is, you'll keep calling pain love. Now, let's get tactical. A woman will test you with emotional withdrawal. Maybe she doesn't respond for hours when she used to answer in minutes. Your instinct says, send another text. Let her know you're thinking of her. Wrong move. You just reinforced her silence. The right move is indifference. Wait. Respond when she returns, but with calm, controlled energy. Show her you don't need the constant reassurance. That teaches her that your attention isn't manipulated by absence, it's earned by consistency. Another scenario, she throws a cutting remark like, maybe you're just not man enough for me. That comment is bait. If you blow up, you fail. If you sulk, you fail. The strategy is to stay still, let the words hang in the air, and then continue with your point calmly. You don't validate the bait, and you don't defend yourself. You send the silent message, your attempt at control doesn't work here. That's strength. That's passion on your terms. And what about over-investing? This is the trap most men don't even see. You meet a woman you like, and immediately you start giving her everything. Constant compliments, constant availability, constant attention. You call it effort, but she feels it as imbalance. She hasn't earned that level of investment, and deep down, she knows it. The result, she pulls back, and you double down, thinking you'll win her over. That cycle kills attraction faster than anything. The smarter move, hold back. Give proportionally to what she shows you. Match her energy. Don't drown her in yours. Test her curiosity instead of feeding her endlessly. This is how you build passion without pain through controlled intensity. You don't give her the chaos of your collapse. You give her the fire of your centeredness. You show her that you burn either way with or without her. That kind of man doesn't chase absence. He commands presence. And the women who can't handle that, let them go. Better to lose someone who thrives on breaking you than to lose yourself in the process of trying to keep them. The moment you stop mistaking pain for passion is the moment you reclaim your power. You stop orbiting around her moods and start living in your own gravitational field. And paradoxically, that's when the right kind of woman, the one who values strength over weakness, steps closer. Because women don't truly want a man they can control. They want a man they can respect. And respect doesn't come from how much pain you can endure. It comes from how much self-possession you refuse to surrender. Have you ever been guilty of over-investing so hard that she pulled away faster? Have you ever mistaken the drama of constant fights for proof of love? Or have you ever noticed her using silence to test you? Which of these traps do you fall into the most? The most dangerous part of this pattern isn't just how women use it, it's how you begin to crave it. Over time, your nervous system rewires itself to need the highs and lows. The absence becomes the drug, and the reunion becomes the hit. You stop desiring her for who she is and start desiring her for the relief she provides from the pain she created. That's the same cycle that keeps addicts hooked on substances that destroy them. And once you're in that loop, it feels impossible to escape. You've seen men stuck in this. Maybe you've been that man. He breaks up with her a dozen times, swears he's done, swears he'll never go back. But the moment she resurfaces, the pain of missing her flips into the ecstasy of reunion. And in that ecstasy, he convinces himself it must be passion. It must be love. He ignores the fact that the only reason he feels such intensity is because of how low she dragged him first. The truth is brutal. He isn't in love with her. He's in love with the relief of not hurting. This is where you start losing pieces of yourself. You lower your standards. You accept disrespect. You tell yourself, every relationship has problems, while ignoring that your problems are self-inflicted wounds. You begin to confuse endurance with devotion, as if the ability to survive her mistreatment is proof of your loyalty, and slowly, without realizing it, you erode your own dignity in the name of passion. But here's what no one told you: passion without respect is poison. A woman who makes you feel like you can't breathe without her isn't proof that she's special. It's proof that you've lost control of your own air, and no man can lead, no man can inspire, no man can truly be masculine if he can't breathe without permission. You don't need her to give you life. You need to become the man whose life is already burning so brightly that she wants to stand near it. So what does that look like in action? Let's get practical. A woman suddenly starts giving you mixed signals. One day she's affectionate, the next she's distant. The weak man responds with panic. He texts more, gives more, tries harder. The strong man notices the inconsistency and mirrors it with restraint. He doesn't punish her, he doesn't beg. He simply doesn't over-invest in confusion. He lets her reveal her true level of interest through her consistency, and if her pattern is chaos, he walks away. Because he knows chaos is not passion, it's dysfunction. Another example, she uses jealousy as a weapon. She flirts with other men in front of you to see how you'll react. The weak man explodes or sulks, proving he's at her mercy. The strong man doesn't take the bait. He knows that real attraction is built on respect, not games. He doesn't need to compete with clowns to prove his value. He lets her see that her attempts to provoke him fall flat. That indifference kills the game at its root. And in that moment, she realizes he's not a boy playing for attention. He's a man demanding respect. And here's the hardest tactic of all: withholding yourself. Most men think withholding is manipulative, something only women do. But a man who never withholds anything, his time, his attention, his energy, is a man who becomes predictable, boring, and easy to control. The tactical shift is to become selective. Don't always answer immediately. Don't always be available. Don't always pour out affection. Create a rhythm where she feels both your presence and your absence, not through withdrawal games, but through your life being too full to revolve around her alone. That's how you create healthy polarity without falling into addiction. Understand this: a woman cannot truly love you if she doesn't respect you, and she cannot respect you if you collapse every time she tests you. Respect isn't won by suffering silently or by proving how much pain you can endure. Respect is won by showing that you will not confuse chaos with closeness, that you can walk away from dysfunction even when it hurts, because your dignity costs more than her attention. The real turning point comes when you redefine what passion is for yourself. Passion is not the adrenaline spike of her silence. Passion is not the relief of her return. Passion is the fire you build inside you, the mission that drives you, the strength of knowing that no matter who enters or leaves your life, you remain whole. That's the kind of passion women feel in their bones. That's the kind of passion they want to be around, not the desperate, hollow passion of a man addicted to drama. So the question becomes, do you want to keep mistaking pain for passion, letting women who thrive on chaos write your story? Or do you want to become the man whose very presence creates the passion she craves, not because you chase her, but because you don't need to? That's the choice that separates men who break from men who rise. Have you ever felt addicted to the cycle of breaking up and making up? Have you ever realized you were more hooked on the relief than on the woman herself? Or Have you found a way to walk away from chaos and feel stronger for it? Tell me in the comments. I want to hear how you face this battle. Here's the final descent into truth. The part most men resist because it forces you to confront yourself. The reason you mistake pain for passion is not just because of her games, it's because of your emptiness. When you don't have a mission, when you don't have a world that excites you, you make her the mission. You turn her into the drug, the meaning, the reason you wake up and the reason you can't sleep. And once she becomes your center, every withdrawal feels like death. That's why her silence cuts so deep. That's why her distance feels unbearable. It's not her, it's the void inside you she's been filling. Women sense this. They can feel when a man is starving for intensity, when he's desperate for validation, when he'll trade his self-respect just to keep the connection alive. That's when the emotional games start to work. That's when a raised eyebrow, a delayed text, or a cutting remark becomes enough to pull you off center. And that's why she can mistake her own cruelty for chemistry, because you reinforce it. You show her that the worse she treats you, the more you fight to stay. And in that moment, you both start lying to yourselves. She calls it passion, you call it love, but it's neither. It's just dependency in disguise. So how do you kill this cycle? By reclaiming your center, by becoming a man whose world is already alive without her. You don't wait for her attention to feel fire, you build it in your own life. Your work, your discipline, your health, your mission, your brotherhood. These are the pillars that keep you steady. And when those are strong, her withdrawal doesn't devastate you. It just reveals who she is. Instead of mistaking pain for passion, you start to measure passion by respect, by consistency, by whether she adds to your fire instead of threatening to extinguish it. Imagine this: she pulls back. She tests you with distance. The old you panics, chases, collapses. The new you notices, but doesn't move. You're already too focused on building your empire, on sharpening your edge, on living a life that demands respect. When she sees that her absence doesn't control you, two things happen. Either she adjusts and steps closer with more respect, or she drifts away because she realizes she can't break you. Either outcome is victory, because you didn't sell your dignity for her presence. Another scenario: she throws chaos at you. Maybe it's jealousy games, maybe it's a cruel remark. The weak man reacts, the strong man doesn't. He doesn't need to prove himself, doesn't need to fight, doesn't need to convince. His silence, his stillness, his refusal to play the game, that's what commands respect. Women are drawn to men who can absorb chaos without becoming chaotic themselves. That's when passion transforms from volatility to gravity. You stop orbiting her moods, and she starts orbiting your presence. But make no mistake, this isn't easy. It requires a brutal kind of self-honesty. You have to ask yourself, do I like the chaos because it distracts me from my own emptiness? Do I call it passion because I don't know what real passion feels like? Have I been mistaking her cruelty for chemistry just because I don't want to face my own lack of direction? These are hard questions. But every man who wants to stop bleeding for women has to face them. Because here's the reality: she didn't break you. She just exposed the cracks you were hiding. Every time you begged for her attention, every time you chased her silence, every time you laughed off her disrespect, it wasn't her that destroyed you. It was your unwillingness to walk away. It was your fear of being alone with yourself. That's the battlefield of modern dating. Not her games, but your emptiness. And once you face that, once you fill that void with your own fire, no woman can ever manipulate you again. So remember, this passion without respect is poison. Pain is not proof of love. And any woman who thrives on breaking you is not your soulmate. She's your mirror, showing you what you're too afraid to protect. Protect your dignity, protect your center, Protect your mission. That's where real passion begins. And when you live this way, you'll never confuse chaos with chemistry again. You'll never mistake pain for passion again. She didn't break you. She revealed what you were too afraid to protect.